Hi, in this video I'll talk to you about the double meaning in movies. For instance, today I saw with my son, well, last night he started, but it was X-Men, and it's the episode where Patrick Stewart, Professor X, dies, and they show the funeral, at least not the funeral, but the stone that was, it's something to do with funerals, the headstone or something, and it had the X, but if you turn it over, it looked just like the cross. So those are like double meanings in in movies with religion. Another one I saw in the X-Men was the part about Wolverine, where Jean, I think, is the super strong girl that is stronger than Magneto, and he says, or Jean says, "You will die for them," and then Wolverine answers her, "No, for you." Meaning he will die for Jean, and so that's almost like Christ dying for us. And then the opposite thing, where Wolverine had to sacrifice Jean, and Jean said, save me by putting his knives into her, and so she died that way. It's just like the opposite. Everything is very dramatic or very. To me, I see religious symbols in movies many, many times. Like Gary Davis, when he stormed into the United Nations in France. I think it was right when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was signed. There were 25,000 refugees, I believe, outside, and Gary Davis was one of the leaders, and he walked in and he spread his arms out, and he said to the United Nations, "Take me as your first citizen, first world citizen." And he bowed to them, and, well, not bowed, but he made a gesture with his arms open like that. If you see the video, it looks just like Christ, and he has two security guards, or maybe it's two United Nations members that are holding his arms out. Such a big gesture, just like in some movies Christ dies in a cross with his arms open. So that's a double meaning in the movie. Alright, but the one I wrote about in this note was about the Star Trek episode, The Next Generation. And in this episode, we have apparently the Enterprise. Hello. I don't know who that neighbor is, but they're going slow and waving. Or it looked like maybe he was just looking at his watch. I don't know. Do people still wear watches? So in the Star Trek episode, the Patrick Stewart in Captain Jean-Luc Picard had picked up a bunch of aliens, and they started fighting. A few days later, or maybe hours later, the aliens, which were the same people, started fighting. Let's just say like the same white people, the same black people, they were the same. The same aliens from the same planet were started fighting on the ship. And so I think it's number one that it questions one of the leaders. And he says, red cloth leader versus green leader, right? There were the red cloth versus the green, or the blue versus the red. And the captain says, or number one says, Captain says, "Why does your culture fight over this cloth?" red and yellow, or it was probably red and green. And the alien says, you fight the same, but you call your claws flags. But we picked you up as one people, says the captain. You were not fighting before. Why do you fight now? I think this is the way the conversation went. Every year on this anniversary, we fight. We flip a coin, and some of us become red and the other green. But you are the leader, and your brother is the other leader, their leader. You fight your own brother? Yes, he is red. How can we stop the fighting? You throw a party for red. You open doors. They float into space. No more fighting on your ship. Green wins. Ha 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 ha. So this was just very interesting about how humans treat each other. And when we get to another culture, we say our way is better. When we do start meeting the aliens, if we haven't already, well, I think that if we have aliens, everyone believes they're more advanced than us, and I believe that because they have UFOs, right? That don't make noise. So, all right, that's what we have. But that was a nice movie. Now I'm old. I understand the double meanings in Star Trek, The Next Generation, and in X-Men. I understand the double meanings about how this symbol of gesture of opening your arms like this, I will die for you, and things like that, are just like the Christian belief where Jesus said that there is no greater love but for me to die for you, or for someone to die for someone else. Mosquitoes are coming out. So, what can I say? When I was 20, I didn't understand the double meanings. What I've done differently to make my children understand the double meanings is I talk during the movie. Sometimes we pause it. Well, we don't pause it now because we don't have the remote for the VCR or the DVD player. All right. But my children are more intelligent than I was at twice their age, I think. When I was 20, I was a baby. Like when I was 18, a homosexual teacher, I met him after I graduated, and then he asked me out, or I ran into him somewhere, and probably in downtown Chicago, and he said, "Oh, come on, have lunch with me." I said, "Sure." And then he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm working over here." He said, "How much money do you make?" I said, "Oh, 100 a week." And then he says, "Oh, I could pay you 150. And I said, "Really? Great. And what do I have to do?" "Oh, just live with me, and you could hold my hand." And well, he didn't say. Yeah, he did say hold my hand and sleep with him. And I said, would you believe it went over my head? I didn't think he was a homosexual because he was such a clean-cut guy. And I said, well, I could hold your hand for a little bit, but the whole night? I said, nah. I didn't know that he was asking me to have sex with him. Would you believe? I was 18 years old, or 17. All right, so like my kids, well, I think every single kid now in the world is knows more about everything than I do, or I did. And then twice, one time a neighbor said, "Hey, come on in, man. We could shoot the breeze or talk." And so I went in and I said hello. He was another guy that was very clean cut. These guys are very clean cut, you know. And then he said, he said, "Oh, this is my ferret." And I said, "Oh, hi." And then he put the sex movie. And the only thing I was thinking about was, oh, I've watched 1,000 of these porn movies by now, and by then I was 23 or 22. And I said, well, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, where are the girls? You know. And then what happened next was I just excused myself and I gotta go now, man. Gotta go. I said, okay, fine. You know, whenever you want to come over. I said, all right, thanks. But he put a boy and a girl having sex. And then another thing, I went to look for an apartment once, and this other guy said, "Oh, no, did he say I don't have a room right now? Just right now, I just rented it, but you could come in. I'll show you my room, and then you can see what they look like." And I said, "Okay, fine." And then he offered me. He also put on the sex movie, a boy and a girl, man and a woman, right? And then he said, "Would you like something to drink?" And I said, "No, but I already had been with the other guy's experience, right?" So like I said, "Nah, I gotta go now." "Oh, sure, you could stay for a while, man." And I'm like, "Nah, thank you though." He probably thought I was homeless, but I was just before homeless, you know. I was moving out before I lost the job, you know. Then another time I climbed a tree at the park, and there was a group of about 10, 15 people, and they were walking by. The last guy said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I said, "Fine." And then the group left, and then he came. Then he went for my testicles and my testicle and my penis. And I said, "Whoa!" I grabbed him and I said, "Wait, no, no." And he said, "Oh, no, no." And I said, "No, no." And so I said, "Okay, bye." And he left. And I'm like, he was a tourist from some other country. I'm like, that just because I'm hanging out on top of a tree here, he wants to grab my. I'm like, wow. Another time I was waiting for the bus, didn't show up, and then a big black car and an old man stopped. They said, "You need a ride?" And I said, "Sure." And so he did drop me off at work, but on the way to work, he put his hand on my stomach. And I said, "Whoa, what's going on here? What are you doing?" And, no, no, what are you doing? And I'm like, so I reached over and I grabbed his ear. I didn't grab it. I just put my hand right by his ear. I was ready to yank it, but he just froze. Well, kept driving. Then he said, "I just wanted to check this neighborhood out over here real quick," and then he did a U-turn and dropped me off at the job site. You know, like, so it's wrong to be taking rides from strangers, you know. Everybody's lonely, or many people are lonely. But I was very gullible, is what happened. I had given rides to people when I drove in Chicago. I gave rides to strangers or to classmates. Now I think about it, you know, because one time I gave a ride to a drug dealer. I was working at the Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami, where the Dolphins football team and the Marlin baseball team played. And so we were cleaning, and after work, I had the boss in the front seat, my mother's car, and I had he was a black guy with a Puerto Rican or a Spanish woman as a wife or girlfriend, pregnant. But anyway, I first dropped off the black guy, and he says, "Oh, at the projects." I didn't even know what projects were, man. I didn't think they had projects in Florida. They do have projects in Florida. So I dropped them off right there, and then he said, "Oh, turn off the lights for a second and wait here for me. I'll be right back." And when he got out, like these 10 guys surrounded him, or maybe it was only 4. But the thought that I came was, they're going to extinguish him, because I don't use the other K-I word, K-I-L. And so then the boss said, he dropped his jaw too, and he said, no, he is dealing dope. Now that's the boss right there. 50 years old, no car, and the boss is a white guy married with or hooked up with a black girl, black lady. And so what happened next was he got back in the car, because I didn't even think about it. Oh, okay, just pull up ahead and drop me off at the next building. And so then the next day, of course, the other boss, which was a black guy, he was the one that told me that guy was fired, but he was the one that had originally put the young black dope drug dealer, gave him a job well, they probably lived in this, not in the same area, but they knew each other. Yeah, they did live in the same area, I think, because in different buildings. Because I gave a ride to the black. For some reason, these bosses I had didn't drive cars. It didn't dawn on me why. They were probably drinkers at once upon a time, you know, when they had better jobs. And so I dropped them off. Yeah, they were drinkers, because I dropped off the black boss that I had. And he said, oh, no, I made the same mistake. He said, pull over at this store right here. He went in and got himself a little bottle in a little bag. And the thing is, he was only 35 years old, you know, but he was slick. And he said, okay, take me to my house. And then I met his wife, but she didn't want to meet me because I was a white young man. And as soon as he went into the house, he transformed. He put on his silk cloth on top of his head. And I'm like, oh, okay. We sat down. And I don't remember much after that, except I must have left, you know, a moment later. Because you could tell when the women are not happy with you. So he was a good guy to me, though. We wrestled. He defeated me easily. He was 35, but I think everybody defeated me back then. I didn't weigh anything. I was very slim. I was very hungry. And all right, the battery's going low. All right, talk to you later. Enjoy your life. Be better than I am. Don't give rides to people. If you do, drop them off. Don't let them get back in the car. And that's the advice other people have given me. You know. But now I recommend don't drive a car. Then nobody will give you ask you for a ride. Ride your electric bicycle. Yeah, you go slower, but it helps up the hill. Enjoy your life. Be better than I am.